Like in USA, if you're bad too much, you get sent to the principal. But in Korea, the principal is never seen. Like he's...
Connect World Peace. Hello, we are here at the Yonsei University. Let us introduce yourself.
Yeah, so my name is CJ, and I come from United States. I lived in Daejeon before coming here for about a few years, and I was actually an English teacher. I was teaching at a middle school, and after staying there for a few years, I came up to Seoul to Yonsei University to pursue my master's degree, and that's where we're at right now.
Let us introduce your country.
My country, United States. I feel like everybody already knows everything about the United States, but I can do my best. United States is, well, what do you guys want to know? It's in North America, right, between Mexico and Canada, and I think it's the third most populous country in the world so far. It goes, China, and then India, and then United States, right? Yeah. So lots of people, lots of Americans all over the place, especially in South Korea, because we have American military here. So I would say best part about the United States is all the different food, because US has a lot of different history.
I visit New York and Chicago and LA. So
you got the top three cities right there.
So the New York house was very expensive, right? So
they're hardworking.
Oh yeah,
they're really hardworking.
I think looks like the Seoul people.
Yeah, New York and Seoul people are similar.
Because I know that I lived in Daejeon and Busan, the other cities. So when I came here to Seoul first time, I feel very so many people and very busy and expensive anything. So looks like New York. So
yeah, that's true.
It's similar.
Yeah, Busan kind of feels like Los Angeles.
Ah, yes, right.
And then Daejeon, I don't know. like Daejeon is sister city, like Jamidoshi is sister city of Seattle, actually. But the feeling is different between the two, but they're sister city.
Where do you live in America?
Me, I'm from Spokane.
Spokane?
Yeah, so Spokane is 5-hour drive from Seattle. And it's sister city with Jecheon, Korea.
Oh,
like Jecheon.
Yeah, you've been to Jecheon? Has anyone been? I feel like no one goes there. It's kind of a small town in the mountains, right?
Oh, yeah.
We got some famous people, like a famous basketball player named John Stockton, at like Gonzaga University, which is arguably one of the best basketball programs in the country. They don't really win the basketball tournament every year. So we can't say that they're 100% the best.
How long have you lived in Korea?
I'd say like a few years. Well, I came to Korea in 2018, in August 2018. So I came during it's called the EPIC program, like English Program in Korea is what it stands for. Because Korean schools need like native English teachers. So I was teaching a middle school down there. I taught for about 4 years. And then after 4 years, I decided I want to move forward. And then I came up here. It was a really good job. I liked it a lot.
How was the Korean kids?
Well, some of them are really good. And some of them would come talk to me after class. And some of their English is really good too. And then some of them don't pay attention to anything. And you tell them to stop, stop that. But they don't understand English. And then in my job description, I can't speak Korean because I'm the 원어민 native English teacher. So if I speak Korean to them, then why am I here? So I have to discipline them in English, but they don't know English. So I have to get the Korean teacher over here to come and really lay down the law harder if they don't listen. Usually most students aren't like that. It's usually 2 students in the class that cause most of the problems. But most of the students are very nice. They're usually very quiet, especially during test time because they're all very tired, unfortunately. Though something that was kind of shocking to me is in Korean school, a lot of the students just do this. They just sleep all the time. And then I was like, yo, you can't sleep in my class. So I was waking them up. I was like, hey, wake up. And then my Korean co-teacher was like, no, if they're sleeping, just let them sleep. And I was like, okay, well, why wouldn't?
Actually, for me, I used to sleep like the kids when I was young. Even though the teachers teaching us, we just ignored them. We just slept down and then just go sleeping
And
there.
then the teacher can't really do anything.
Then the USA student, they didn't sleep in
I mean-
the classroom?
Some students, well, from what I remember, some students don't, or they do sleep, but they get waken up. And if you do it too much, you get sent to the principal's office. Like in USA, if you're bad too much, you get sent to the principal. But in Korea, the principal is never seen. Like like in USA, the principal wanders around the school, and he's in charge of he's the top guy. But in Korea, the principal, at least in my school, had his office, and then he never comes out. He just goes in there at morning, and then he comes out at night and then goes home.
What's your major, and is there a reason you choose that major?
My major is international trade and finance management. The reason I chose that major, well, when I was teaching, I stayed for about 4 years, and I stayed for 4 years because I really like it here, and I want to make a permanent life here. And for working in Korea, you need some kind of qualification, right?
Yeah.
So before I had a bachelor's degree, but it wasn't anything that I could really apply to things that are popular in Korea. For example, a lot of jobs that are open to foreigners in Korea are regarding international outreach in business or international outreach in media, like a news company, for example, or a trading company would be, for example, business. And I was thinking, if I want to get a job similar to this, and I want to stay long-term in Korea, I would need to get a master's degree in something related to this field.
In Korea, there are also Korea University and Seoul National University. So why you choose Yonsei University?
Yeah, well, when I was looking at which university to apply for, there was 3 options, which was, actually I had 4 or 5. I also had, I could go to Chunamdae, which is Daejeon's university, but I heard that it's not a very good, it's not very high up on the ranks compared to other schools.
Yeah, right.
And in Daejeon, there's also KAIST, which is one of the best schools for engineering and math, but that's not my direction. Also, I heard it's really competitive to get into KAIST, and I wanted to get out of Daejeon. I wanted to live in Seoul because it was already 4 years in Daejeon. So I was looking for schools in Seoul. I had Seoul National University, Goryeo University, which is Korea University, and Yonsei. And Seoul National University is actually cheaper because it's a public school. And then Goryeo and Yonsei are private schools. But I wanted to go to the Graduate School of International Studies. And I did my research online, and I looked at the different degrees offered by each school. And I heard that Yonsei's program was the best program. That SNU, Seoul National University, is also a really nice, great school, but their international program is not as big as Yonsei. Because Yonsei has a history of international outreach, and it was started by Christian missionaries, so it's also a Christian school, as opposed to Goryeo University, which is, I don't think there's any religion over there, right? But I do know it's more traditionally Korean. It might be Buddhist affiliated at some places, but I don't think so. Isn't?
He is actually the Korea.
Did you go from
Getting
Goryeo?
the
Now I'm studying
Korea
in
University.
Korea University.
he know that.
But I don't know. My mother university was the Busan National University. So,
Oh, yeah.
okay. Okay.
Oh, yeah. I just thought Yonsei fit better with what I wanted to do.
Yeah, right.
But I have a lot of friends from Goryeo-dae. I went there a few times. And the architecture at Goryeo-dae is really nice. It looks like a castle.
Oh, right.
Yeah, like a Disney castle or something. Yonsei's architecture looks like an Ivy school.
Ivy school.
Yeah, like Harvard or Yale or something like that. And then SNU's architecture just looks like it looks like nothing. I don't know. It's very modern. Everything is modern nowadays. So it just kind of blends into the rest of the city.
How much is the tuition?
Tuition?
It's information for them. So.
Yeah, it's I think it's about 7 million for each semester. There's 4 semesters, so that's 28 million. And honestly, I think it's one of the most expensive schools in Korea.
Yeah, right.
But then again, like 28 million won in dollars is like what, $20,000? So to me, I was thinking, well, master's degree in USA at regional university is going to be more than $20,000. So I was like, oh, I'm getting a good deal here. This is like, oh, this is cheap. But I was telling my coworkers in Daejeon, I was like, yeah, I'm going to go to Yonsei. And then they asked me how much is the tuition. And I'm like, well, it's like 7 million per semester. And they're like, oh, no. And I'm like, why? What's wrong? That's pretty, like, have you seen American prices? Like, it's pretty cheap. And they're like, yeah, but at Chungnam-dae, it's like 2 million per semester.
2 million.
And I was like, oh, wow, okay. That is a big difference. Because Yonsei is private school, so it's more expensive.
You got a good reputation.
I hope so.
Yeah.
Are there any of the scholarship programs in Yonsei?
There's it's not Yonsei specific, but it's called the Korean Global Scholarship. Global Korean, it's like something like that. GK, like, I'm not an expert on this, but just type in on the internet Global Korean Scholarship and it'll pop up. I know some other students are here on that scholarship. So if your Korean level is high enough and you have some background in your undergrad related to Korea, sometimes the Korean government will let you come study in Korea for free, like they'll pay for everything. But you don't get to choose your university really. So you can come to Yonsei by chance, or you can be somewhere in Gangwon-do and Gangwon University, which, I mean, it's kind of boring out there. But so it's kind of a big chance, sometimes depending on where you get placed. But there's also specific scholarships in Yonsei. So for example, I was on the Dean's List a few times. And then if you're on the Dean's List, you're open to apply for the Dean's List scholarship, which everyone else on the Dean's List applies also. So it's not a guarantee to get it, but that's also another kind of scholarship. There's private scholarships from private not universities, but like private organizations and sometimes companies. This one's a little bit more rare, but if you have a relationship with a company, they'll pay for your degree or at least help you pay for the degree, for example. So there's a lot of different options and you can find all these options online too.
Do you think Korea is a good place for foreigners to live?
I think it depends what you are looking for and what you want, because every place is different and one person can be very happy in one area and then you put a different person in there and they're going to be depressed because it's just they want different things. Well, obviously, if you like Asian culture, for example, and Asian culture tends to be a little bit more conservative than at least American culture. So, for example, respect is important. Like when you meet someone, it's not very informal. Yeah, there's some distance. When you talk with your boss, there's some distance, right? And so everyone kind of knows their spot. And of course, you can get closer with people over time. So like me and my coworker, he's like 50 years old, but we're like best friends now. But still like a 50-year-old guy being best friends with someone my age. If I was Korean, I'm not sure that would be 100% possible. But because I'm a foreigner and we would speak English and English is very informal, we could do that. But it is more formal in Korea and people are very nice in Korea. But at the same time, you have to be nice too. So like when you go to someone's house, they'll give you a lot of fruits and they'll give you toilet paper and they'll give you free stuff. And then the idea is that when you visit them next time, you also give them something, right? So they're nice to you and you feel good because like, oh, they're so nice to me. But then, you're kind of expected to be nice to them also. So if you just wander around and suck up everyone's gifts and niceness, then maybe, Koreans aren't very confrontational all the time. so they're not gonna like it, but I don't think they're gonna tell you exactly that they dislike it. But it's just polite, right? If someone gives you something, you gotta give something back. And because half my family is from Philippines, I was just kind of already used to this stuff, like formalities and being polite to people. In public, you can't do anything that's too out of the ordinary. Like if you're on a bench singing to yourself, it might look a bit weird. Like in USA, it's completely fine. Like no one really cares what you do in USA sometimes. You can wear a big pink shirt and go down the street and it's completely normal. In Korea, everyone might look at you and be like, what is he doing?
Yeah.
But if you're a foreigner, most Korean people just think, oh, he's a foreigner, he can do whatever he wants. Like if you're doing something that Koreans don't do, most of the time Koreans, they don't care. they just think, oh, that's cool. That's some foreigner stuff right there. Like that's what foreigners do. But if you're Korean and you do that same stuff, then they might think like, oh, what is a Korean guy doing that for? So I think as a foreigner, you also have more freedom. A lot of people say like, oh, Korean society is so hard and it's so tough and people are so judgmental. But I feel like that only applies to other Koreans. Just like if Eunho came to America, we won't expect him to act American all the time. So if he does something that's really Korean of him, then that's completely fine. Like Americans don't, like they know he's Korean. If an American or let's say someone from England comes to Korea and they do something that an English person would do, Koreans don't care because they just expect it. So there's a little bit more freedom than some people make it out to be. Personally, I like the more conservative culture, right? Where when you are outside, you'd have to kind of dress nicely. Not because like you're being forced to dress nicely, but you know, out of respect for other people also. In US, sometimes I'll see people go to Walmart in their pajamas and like, no problem. If you want to go to our Walmart in your pajamas and like look like you just woke up, like that's completely fine. But at the same time, it feels a little bit more respectful to just put some gel in your hair or something and then put a shirt on and then go outside. But yeah, it's just different preference. So every spot is different, and depending on what you like, you can go to that area. What did you think when you went to USA? Because you went to 3 American cities, right? Did you find any difference between American and Korean culture?
Well, the USA people, they often said sorry. Yeah. So many times they said, oh sorry. But Korean people, they don't say sorry.
Yeah.
Not many times. So I think that is a little different.
Yeah. Well, people in USA are very polite, stereotypically very polite. So people always say sorry even if they just accidentally touch you. Like if you're on the subway and you touch someone, it's like, oh, sorry, excuse me, my bad. Or we open the doors for people. In Korea, I'll open the door for someone and they just wait for me to walk inside of it. And then I have to do this to show them, no, you go inside the door. And then they make a big deal out of it and they're like, oh, thank you. And then they go in. So I stop opening the doors for people because it's just easier to go in myself, because every time I open the door for like someone, they don't know what to do. They stop moving and they're like, what do I do? Do I walk in the door? And so it's confusing, right? So I just go in myself. But in US, I always open the door for people because it's polite. Saying sorry is polite. Saying thank you for things is polite. Koreans don't really say thank you for anything. I mean, they say thank you for big things. But if we're friends and I give you some water, it's just like, Like in US, we'd say, oh, thanks. Thanks.
What are the best thing and worst thing about the Korea?
The best thing and the worst thing?
Yeah.
The best thing is that people here are very welcoming and very kind. And a lot of Korean people are very nice. They'll give a lot and are very kind because they know that, you're far away from home and maybe you miss your family and it's a different culture. And a lot of people understand that, so they're very kind and helpful. Like you guys are doing the exact same thing. Right? You guys are very kind and helpful and even made this YouTube channel to help foreigners out. So I think that's one of the best things about Korea is the people here, and then how convenient everything is. If you want something, I can probably get it within 1 hour, whatever it is, on the internet or through any store that's just walking distance around here. So everything's convenient, transportation's easy, right? Seoul to Busan is like, how long, 3 hours? Or is it?
Yeah.
Yeah, 3 hours by train, 5 hours by car, right? That's the whole country. So it's a small country, so it's very convenient, easy to get around. And then I guess the worst part, probably being threatened with nuclear war by North Korea all the time. But I mean, the chances of that happening are low. And if it does happen, probably won't feel it because we'll be dead. So, I mean, most people really don't care about that. And if you ask the average Korean guy, they probably just make jokes all the time about it. Like, I just made a joke about it. It's not really it's not too big of a problem.
Okay, thank you very much. And okay, let's looking around Yonsei University.
Okay,
Okay, let's
go.
go.